Hey, what's up, guys? I'm David Dimuzio. Welcome to Hair Loss Hope. And today we have a special guest, Brian Dodge. Brian is at 14 months post his first transplant, which was FUE. I think he had 2,500 grafts. Am I right, Brian?
2649 with the exact number, but yeah, 2500 ish.
We just got back from Brazil together. So you might have seen a video of us we posted live while we were in Brazil, but the audio and video quality wasn't that great because we were just on a balcony somewhere in Sao Paulo. So I thought today we'd talk about Brazil because trust me, guys, you want to know about Brazil and you need to go to Brazil if you've never been. And also Brian's hair and experience so far 14 months after his hair transplant. What are you most happy about regarding your hair transplant? How has your life changed since getting a hair transplant?
Number one, I don't worry about my hair looking shitty when I go in a car ride with the windows open, or if it's a windy day, or if I'm on bright lights on stage somewhere, or if it's sunny out, I don't feel like I'm glowing. You know what I mean? If there's photos. So that's a huge change. Like, I know I look great even when my hair is all messy and like curly and fucked up. It's fine. Love having the hairline, even buzzed down like this, which I just did a video where I shaved my head in a Norwood 6 pattern, and then I did a video showing the donor area and how it healed. So two of those videos I just posted. Those were really hard to film because shaving your hair, transplanting hair off like straight down the center is just like demoralizing. So I guess how has it changed? I'm more sensitive to my hair loss now than I was before the hair transplant. I guess I just got so used to losing hair and used to hating it that now I love my hair. That when it's not, when I shave it off and it's like not, perfect that way, it's a little worse. But I'm really, really thrilled to have hair again because I actually don't mind it when it's like fully shaved like this. Definitely one of the best things I've ever done in my life, and I think that's very dependent on how you choose your doctor. Because obviously, if you it could be a bad decision, but I think it's a game changer for my life.
Because we're about to get into Brazil, how has reactions from girls changed from females? Like, what is the difference? Like, do you notice a big difference? I mean, you're obviously always a very confident, life of the party kind of guy. So, like, has any of that changed for you?
So as you said, I'm very confident, which I find is like the biggest thing with girls. Like even if you're balding, guys, if you can be confident, fake it till you make it. But yeah, even just being confident will help you so much with that area. So I never really saw any issues. Like if you're looking at like how many girls I talked to before or after the hair transplant, I can't say it changed at all. I will say that the initial reaction to me has changed. Like for example, results on Tinder changed, right? Tinder and Bumble is 100% about first impression. So like being fully shaven bald, you probably do just fine because some girls like bald guys. But like having, receding hairline or, just it doesn't look good, it's thinning out, that actually makes it harder on an app because obviously you don't look as good as the person who's fully shaven or has perfect hair. So I would say it probably has helped me in that area, but like not in person. Like if I meet a girl at a bar, like at a restaurant or something, or in public at a beach, I wouldn't say it's changed anything because I just am fun and confident. But like I would say it definitely has changed a lot with Tinder and Bumble. I definitely get more swipes.
So in person, you haven't really noticed any difference, like the girls you would score now versus after a hair transplant.
Again, that's very hard to say. Maybe a little, but I don't know. I was always again. I wore hats a lot back then. So I guess that's also fair to say as a result. So girls kind of saw my personality before they saw my hair, if that makes sense. I'd have to really compare it to the times I didn't wear a hat, which was never. I always wear a hat.
I definitely saw a big difference, I feel like, in the kind of girls and the reaction of girls to me, bald versus not bald. Like I didn't do badly when I was balding, but it was definitely very noticeably different. It was the difference of getting like hot girls being work to being like pretty easy, relatively speaking, right? So like it was a big difference for
Okay,
me.
I could say okay. I'd probably agree with that. I would say no matter what, like I could talk enough to like make it work, but you're right. It's probably easier now. Like again, up front, it's easier. But again, I think it's also cheating considering I wear a hat all the time. If I would never wore a hat and I had my hair like that, then I'd say probably more of an issue.
Okay. but the in person they kind of didn't know yet. So by the time they saw your bald head of hair or balding head of
Yeah.
hair, at that
You
point, like
stuck
they
with
were
me.
already like, they would have to call an Uber if they wanted to leave.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Or they'd have to be a terrible person that didn't like me, you know?
Okay, gotcha. So did you ever have that happen where someone saw your head of hair and like you?
No,
Okay, gotcha.
no, it's never like
I
that.
know a guy that happened to, where he said,
Ouch.
yeah, it was a
That girl's shallow. Fuck
yeah,
that.
she literally was like, oh, and she just like got up in the middle of the night and left.
What?
Yeah, after
Wow.
yeah,
You
she
know,
saw
so
his head
there's
of
always
hair.
gonna be that one. You know what I mean? That's crazy like that. But like, I don't feel like if you're looking at a magazine of the hottest people, you're gonna look for every imperfection and say no to. But like
Yeah,
in person, like eye contact, confidence, like being fun and funny goes way farther than your hair.
yep.
It definitely helps if you're looking at a girl across the bar and she checks you out. Like you're gonna look better versus like. But again, if you can't if you can't talk to a girl because you're not confident, you're gonna have issues either way when you walk up to them, hair or not.
Yeah, I would say I've noticed that's really true when you're talking about the Tinder aspect of dating, right? Okay, so I'll say so I have because I walked around shirtless, like basically pantless too, the entire time we were in Brazil.
I couldn't find clothes for this guy to put on.
I have abs, right? And that for photos, it looks great. Like I've noticed that's been like a big thing that girls will mention from like Tinder and dating apps and things is they'll go, "Oh, I saw your abs." Like they really
Yeah,
mention that as a thing, but never in person has that ever mattered at all because I'm kind of a fairly thin guy, like a small framed
yeah,
guy. So if you just meet me in person, like you'll go, "Oh, he's fit," but you wouldn't go like, "Oh, that guy has like a, perfect six pack kind of thing." Like it wouldn't be something
yeah.
that would affect whether a girl would go home with me from a bar or not having those apps, but it will totally make a difference on whether, she swipes right on me.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm actually about to do a weight loss journey. I'm starting it already. I kind of started it when I got back. I just started cutting alcohol because I can't drink anyway for the hair transplant. So I'm gonna do 30 days of alcohol. So, David, my turn to ask a question. What was your favorite part of Brazil? I mean, there was obviously beautiful beaches, beautiful women, beautiful food options. It was cheap. The weather was good, even though it was winter. Like, what was your favorite part?
I think it would kind of be a toss up
Okay, that's fair.
between the price versus like quality of things. So I've been to a lot of inexpensive countries, like places like the Philippines and Thailand. And I mean, I've traveled to every country in Asia except for Nepal.
Yeah, you've seen like 97 countries.
I've never been to a country that was as cheap and still had as good a quality as everything. Like it was like first world quality food and amenities and housing and just style and like kind of look of things felt very first world. But the price of everything was like 50%.
I feel like Ubers were like 10% of what I pay here.
Some things were even way cheaper, but everything was like, it felt like almost everything felt like 50% cheaper, like day to day things.
And that's us going to the most expensive places too. So you got to be fair about that. If you were to go to that same restaurant here, like same quality, you'd be screwed.
I told you when we were chatting earlier today that I'm really interested in honestly like moving to Brazil for a little while. And I was looking at nice 3, 4 bedroom houses with a pool in Jurerê International, the most expensive neighborhood in the most expensive city of Florianopolis in Brazil. And the price is like 500 USD for a month to rent this house. Like this beautiful house with a pool. It's $500 a month. It's just absolutely crazy. So yeah, that's the first thing was that. And then the second thing, I could say the girls, right? Like just having supermodel looking girls
There's like Instagram girls everywhere.
everywhere that you look. That but I'm not gonna say that because there are other cities with like really beautiful girls, cities like Copenhagen or like you can go to the Philippines and like what's enough looking, you can find some really hot chicks. Um,
But in the
so
same
there's
quantity, like purport, like ratio.
well, I'd say in like places like Sweden and in Denmark, I would say that the same the same kind of quality. Like there's, I mean, I felt the same way when I was in Copenhagen. I was like, there's just everywhere I look, it looks like supermodels. But I'll
I've
say
been to
that
like the Norwegian areas like Sweden and
mm,
Finland and stuff.
the most beautiful girls that I've been to, I felt like was Copenhagen.
Really, I was in
Yeah,
Stockholm. I only passed through Copenhagen, but I was in Stockholm, and there were a lot of beautiful women. But I'd say you have to have that type. Like a lot of them are like skinny, blonde, blue-eyed. Like it's
yep,
like a
they definitely
large
have a certain
percentage.
type. Yes, absolutely.
Whereas like Brazil, I'd say I couldn't tell you a type that was there. Like some girls were like nearly black, and some girls were like whiter than me, and everything in between. But they just all
Yes.
had really nice bodies, and they all had different faces. But like it was just really crazy, like how different everyone was, and still beautiful. Like
I
everyone was
agree with
like
you.
almost perfect specimens of their like potential nationalities. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're totally right as far as that goes. So yeah, if you go to Copenhagen, everyone kind of looks the same. They're all gorgeous, but like
Yeah.
they all kind of look like a certain way or at certain places in Germany. But yeah, I would say definitely the most diverse mix of beautiful girls where you're right. Like if you're into black girls, you're going to find the most beautiful black girls you've ever seen in your life. And then if you're into like, yeah, like Latina girls or into blonde girls or like whatever it is, like, yes, there's such a crazy mix of girls. But the thing more so than the insane amount of beautiful girls was actually their personalities.
Yes, I
That's what I
agree.
actually like more and would say is number two is like the personalities of the people. And just, even like that gay dude that we met the last night at the
Oh yeah.
bar, it was just like the most friendly dude ever. And at first I just thought, oh, this guy's gay and like he's just hitting on us or whatever. But like no, like he was generally like super, super nice, and in like a way that you don't experience often. Of course, you're gonna find Americans who are very friendly as well, but not like everyone. And it felt like almost everyone in Brazil that we met, from like the hottest girls to like whoever, was just like super friendly and willing to help. If you had any kind of problem, you asked somebody for directions or whatever. Like people were very helpful. Um, yeah,
I
I just
agree.
the
There's a
people.
lot of friendliness, especially in like the nice areas like Sao Paulo. Again, if you're in a bad place, like we're never gonna go to those places, so we won't really know that. But like
Yeah.
in general, middle class and above like are gonna be we run into because of the place we're staying, and even like lower middle class or like lower, just not like completely like slums poor. Um, we ran into every class basically, and everyone's like that. But it's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Even before I went to Brazil, I was working with two Brazilian musicians just remotely via Zoom. One of them I met. I met a piano player. Yep. And I met him there, and he's like my one of my favorite musicians I've ever worked with, and the most friendly, helpful, go above and beyond kind of guy, that I've worked with really online doing music stuff. And then this mixer that mixes some of my songs, and also just so easy to connect with him, and like I instantly felt like we were really good friends, and it's really a different feeling. And I got home, and my next door neighbors here, they're Mexican, like from Mexico, and I was chatting with them, and the guy, he's been to Brazil a couple of times, and he's just like, I love the people there. The people there are awesome. And I was like, yeah, they're really like not like Nashville, people in Nashville, And he's like, no, they're not like
I'm more like Italian, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
They like care that you're enjoying their country and their cuisine.
People will say, "Oh, well, these people are just nice to you because they're foreign. You're a foreigner." And there are certain countries where they'll be nicer to you, right, just because you're a foreigner and you're just different. But I didn't get the feeling of that in Brazil. I felt like people were pretty nice to each other for the most part.
I agree with you. And there's also countries that are completely opposite and don't like you because you're American. I can name a few.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I don't go there really.
yeah, I don't go to France either.
All right, quickly back into hair, Brian. Since you're about to go for your second hair transplant, I just want to know what's your sort of philosophy going into this whole hair transplant game in terms of what where your sort of end goal is, like what you're willing to spend, you know, like all of that, because this is a big undertaking, right? You're about to have your second hair transplant. you're still going to probably need a third hair transplant, I would say. I mean, depending on how far you want to go with all this, right? Your first one, you already look better. Your second one, you look better. Third one, you're going to look better than that. Like, this is a long process and an expensive process. And so, like, how did you sort of go into this mentally, like thinking about all of that money and surgeries and all of that sort of
It's a
stuff?
very good question. I mean, obviously, for years I thought about it. Um, it's very expensive, and there's risks, and it's not for everyone. And there's obviously you could choose the wrong doctor. Like, there's a ton of different things, right? So the first thing I did was I spent a couple years looking at like tons of doctors, researching it, not just looking at their advertisements, because of course everyone can make themselves look good after a couple years in business. It's pretty easy to show only good results. Um, but yeah, just by watching and like looking at a ton of people who knew what they were talking about, and like the more people you listen to, the more you realize he's full of shit. So definitely just talk, like listen to tons of YouTubers, talk to tons of doctors. That's my advice. That's what I did, and it really helped me kind of weed through everything. But once I found the right doctor, I didn't care about the money. I understand it's a lot of money, and this next surgery will place me at about 30, 31,000. I think, yeah. So 15,000 a surgery approximately. So 30,000. It's a lot of money. So I'll have to do one more after that. So you're looking at a $45,000 investment, which is pretty lucrative and insane to do. Of course, there's financing options and shit, but I just looked at it as like an investment in me and an investment in my future. Like, what did I want to look like? Like, I work really hard, and would I do I want hair? Yes. Like, so why not do it? You know what I mean? Like, it'll help me with business. It'll, I would like to be able to have different hairstyles, and I can't do that with no hair. So, I might still rock a shaved head occasionally in the future, a few years down the road. But at the same time, I would like to be able to have a full head of hair and, be able to make that as a decision. So that's why I did it. And as far as like whether it's worth it or not, so far I think it was the best decision I've ever made as far as how to spend money. Obviously, investment properties are better, but as far as like expenditures that you're not going to get return on investment on, this potentially could have return on investment because like you never know. It might help me with business, might help me find a better girl. Who the fuck knows? So I mean, depending on how you look at that, it could be very helpful in your life. I don't think it's the end of the world if you don't go through with hair transplants or whatever, but I really wanted it, so that's how I rationalized doing it. I figured there's a bunch of potential benefits, and the main one was it would make me happy. Is what I really wanted to do. So
What would the number be that you wouldn't get a hair transplant? How much
oh boy,
money, like if a hair transplant was $500,000 to get, no, not a hair transplant, but like to get your entire head done, to whatever you're gonna do, 3, 4 hair transplants. If the cost of that is $500,000, would you then do it, or like $1 million, or what's the number where you'd be like, I think I'm gonna just go bald because that's too much money. What's the number?
that's a really good question. 500,000 is for sure no. So is a million. Like, it's not that important.
Okay, so for 500,000 you wouldn't do it.
No, I'm trying to think of like an exact number where the cutoff would be. I don't know. Um, Somewhere between 100 and a quarter. I
Okay.
don't know exactly. Maybe it'd be 100, maybe it'd be 150, 200. I'm not really sure. I guess it
So for a
depends how
hundred
well
thousand,
I'm
if it
doing.
costs you $100,000, like currently, if
For
you
the
knew
whole head we're
that,
talking about, not one surgery, the whole head.
yeah, you
Yeah.
wouldn't do it for $100,000,
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I probably would. That's what I'm saying. I probably would, but like
but
if I
not
had
more than
gone into it,
250.
if I had gone into it a year ago being like it's gonna cost 100 to do the whole head, I might not have done it. But doing the first 15,000 and seeing how great it was, I'm like, yeah, duh. Like, you know what I mean? So again, maybe if it was like, yo, they walked in, they're like 50,000 up front, I'd been like, fuck, you know what I mean? And we'll do your whole head, and it's gonna take 3 years. I probably would have been like, no. But 15,000 is still expensive, but at the same time, I did it, and I get to see the results, and I'm super happy, and I can see how great a decision it was, and the money doesn't matter to me at that point. Um, like if I went back and I knew what I was gonna feel like right now, I would have spent 50 up front. You know what I mean? Like that's a fact. If I had known, like I would love it, But again, if you told me that before the surgeries, I'd have been like, "You're out of your mind." You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, hard to say. But it's also like you're gonna take medication that could, 1% chance of ED or like ball pain, like you're looking at risks either way you go.
I just want to hear you say the words ball pain again.
Ball pain. You're welcome.
Oh my gosh. All right, cool. Well, let's just wrap this up with reasons that I think that you should go to Brazil. Actually, I've already given you enough, but I'm just going to wrap this up by saying that if you are a male watching this video, within the next year, you need to go to Brazil.
Not just Brazil, Floripa.
Floripa, yeah, in particular Floripa. Actually, don't just go to Brazil. Yeah, you need to go to
It's paradise.
Florianopolis, also known by the locals as Floripa. You need to go there. So
And
highly
go there
recommended.
between October and March. Preferably like December, January is like the prime time to go. That's
Yep.
their summer.
Before or after your hair transplant, Brian? Should they go?
Dude, out
What
there,
should
I
they
don't
do
even-
first? They've got $10,000, so they go get the hair transplant or go to Brazil. Well,
Oh.
Brazil's not going to cost that much money. It
Oh
costs like
man,
$3,000.
that's like really hard. It's a life-changing experience going to Floripa. Like I would say you're silly not to go. I would go there and I would do it for cheap. Like I would get a $700 ticket. I would stay at a cheaper place for like $40 a night, $50 a night. I would do like 10 nights. That's $1,200. You couldn't possibly if you did it right, you could spend like $500 in 10 days.
Yeah.
So you look at like 2 Gs, let's say. I think that would be worth it. But again, it depends on like what your finances are, okay? It's
Yeah.
the best place to go for your money. Like hands down, ridiculous. But again, if you're thinking logically, a hair transplant, I would go get the hair transplant first. And then I would go a year later. But again, I don't even think it matters, man. Like the girls won't even care. They're so open-minded. Let's put it that way.
They're open-minded to balding.
They're open-minded about everything, I'm pretty sure.
Gosh, God bless Brazil.
God.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys learned something and had fun, listening to Brian and I chat away. And yeah, we'll see you very soon. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions for either of us, and we'll make a video about it because that's what we do.
Yes,
That and
sir.
get hair transplants and go to Brazil.
Thanks for having me.